What up, Thrashers? I'm making this video at the same day I made my Piranha one, and today's video is going to be a redo of one of my more well-viewed videos about metal guitar rhythm 101, and I wasn't happy with that video, so by the time you're seeing this, it's probably gone, which is probably for the best, because I didn't exactly explain any of the techniques and ideas that I wanted to get across as well. So I'm hoping that with this one I can sort of give people a more better, well-rounded foundation for tackling other pieces of metal mythos and all the classic riffs that everybody wants to learn how to play. To preface, I'm going to state that my metal journey, like everybody's, is different. And everybody starts at the bottom, no matter who it is, no matter how much of a god somebody you see playing appears to be, everybody starts somewhere. For example, just to give some background and insight, I had to sit there for I think a week when I was first starting out to learn Breaking the Law by Judas Priest. And it was just single note riffs, and that's what you start with to get your hands sort of accustomed to moving in one area. And then after that, I had to try to get good at Am I Evil? The Metallica cover of a Diamond Head song was the one I loved the most. And that one really messed me up, even though it appears to be super simple. I'm sure most of you watching this are very, very, very early beginners. Maybe you're starting to get up there. And this song might seem challenging to you too if you look out and listen to it and try to do it. It wasn't easy for me. But like everything, you get out what you put in. It gets easier as you do it. So let me just lay out the basic fundamentals for what you need to tackle and pursue some of your early metal songs you want to learn how to play. So, number one, how you hold the pick. Holding the pick and what gauge of pick, what size of pick, doesn't matter too much. It matters a little bit. Some players like flimsier picks, some players like thick picks. If you're a metal guy, you probably got told to get a thick pick. Now, holding the pick is different for everybody. My instructor showed me this way. I'm going to show it to you, and then I'm going to give you some alternatives just to show you that it's not 100% concrete on how you should play. So you take your pointer finger of your picking hand and you curl it and you try to look at the little knuckles, right? So you have this knuckle here that would come into contact with somebody if you punch someone, and then you go one more after that, and then another after that to get this final little joint right before your fingertip. This joint right there. And I was told to place the pick to where the tip is coming out of that knuckle point, like so. And then curl it in and place the thumb on top. And that is how I hold the pick. And to avoid these fingers hitting the other strings, I sort of curl these up and I compress my whole hand to give me total rigidity and stability with this pick. So it's not going to fly out of my hands because all of these fingers are crunching together to keep it in a grip. Now if you have a looser way of holding the pick with less fingers pressing together, or some other a pointer finger style picking angle where it's coming out of the tip of your finger or something like that, I would recommend you try to put little scratches into your pick with a razor, or rough it up with some sandpaper or something. Maybe even buy one of those sticky products. I think they have one called Gorilla Snot or something that you can put on your picks, and it's like a sticky substance that keeps it if you have trouble with your picks flying out of your hands. But I've found that this way my pick is completely rigid, completely solid, it doesn't go anywhere, and it won't move unless I loosen or tighten my grip. There's some other ways to hold the pick. As you've probably seen, there are people who do the finger pointer kind of style holding the pick where it comes out of your pointer finger a little bit. And that's fine. You can still do metal with that sort of style. Like if you pinch it like so and then bring it down on the body. It's not impossible. There's the Hetfield way where it's a 2-finger pinch and then you have a very tight thumb where your thumb is kind of propped up like that. I'm not very good at that way. I honestly, I've never experimented with it, but I know James is able to do it. It's possible. But it's not for me. There's a billion other ways. I've seen people who hold it with their middle finger and are able to pick just fine. I've seen people who, when they pick, the angle they pick is totally different than mine. I pick with this front edge right here. So when I'm picking, this edge of the pick, this side of it is pushing through. I've seen people who have their thumb like this, and they're picking with like the part behind their thumb right there, like that. Like I'm pretty sure Ola England does that, and he's a pretty great player. He's able to play some solid stuff with this sort of backwards picking angle with the extremely bent thumb. So any way is possible. You just need to strategize and consider each one and find the one that works best for you. And if you're hitting a wall in your technique, you might need to switch up how you hold your pick or change your grip of your pick. That could just be how it is. Secondly is where you place your hand when you're picking and your anchor points. And what I mean by anchor points is what parts of your body are in contact with the guitar while you're playing and picking. What I've heard and what I think to be generally true is that when you're a metal player, you're told to palm mute for your chugs, which is fine. But if you try to pick across the strings while keeping your wrist rigid on the bridge here, it's not going to work. You need to have the ability to move your arm across the body of your guitar to follow your picking so it stays consistent. I would much prefer you have like either some sort of finger anchor of some sort, like on the strings or on the pick guards or something, or just be really conscious of your palm and where you are on the strings. I don't anchor my fingers, but there are many great players who do. Yngwie does a little bit. He has a little bit of pinky touching somewhere to have him know where he is. Early on, Dave Mustaine did that a lot. You could see his fingers sort of curled up around here when he was picking. A lot of people do it. Michelangelo Badia, one of the greatest shredders, he does like a really particular, like, sticks his fingers on the guitar for his phonograph style shredding. Some crap like that. I can't do it. But if it works for him, it could, in theory, work for you if you try enough at it. It really depends. This isn't to give you option paralysis where there's too many things to consider. Just smooth your way into it and you'll figure it out. All right. So that's the basics, and I've taken up 7 minutes of your time. I know that seems daunting. I'll try to keep it more simple. Picking. Like actually picking, once you've got how you want to hold your pick and if you want to anchor or not, you need to become accustomed with different styles of picking. The gallops, the tremolos, the down picks, those are all essential for any riffs that you're going to come across. When you start off, you're probably just going to be a basic down picking guy. That's how I was. That's how I think most people are. They learn how to down pick by playing a simple down picking song. I did Am I Evil, but it could be any song that has down picking in it. So if you're not just going to try to slam your head into a wall on a song and get your down picking out that way, a couple of small pieces of advice I can give you is this. When you are down picking on just one string and you want to get a lot of speed, where you're able to go pretty quick, it's sort of coming, for me at least, from a wrist motion primarily and maybe a little bit of finger to give me the right picking angle to where I'm using the edge and not the pick flat. What I mean is, if you take the strings, right, and you have your pick, now imagine you're trying to pick this string. If you're doing it where the pick is flat against the string and you're trying to push through it, you sort of either have to have a tilt like this or a turn like this to use the edge as sort of a ramp. So for me, I do a little bit of both. My angle isn't parallel like this. It has a little bit of a tilt forward, slightly. I'm exaggerating for the purposes of showing you, but I have a little bit of a tilt forward and a little bit of a twist to help me go over the string easier so it doesn't catch. These will have different tones, but right now you should just worry about being able to do it. Secondly, when I am picking for down picking on just one string, I am not picking through to the next string. I'm not doing what they might call like rest strokes, where I'm picking through the E and landing on the A. I'm not doing that. My pick stroke is almost like a little miniature crescent moon or a C, sort of, where maybe not even that, because I don't start up and swooping at it like this. I sort of go up and away from the body of the guitar, very slightly out of the body, and then come right back. So it's sort of like a dome, I would say. sort of like a dome, to where you're able to get it right back. And that's a very, very concentrated, tough movement. It's a tough movement to get really fast. Stop it. She's annoyed at me, my cat. Doesn't like it when I show people secrets. So, that's your basic downpicking format. And as you try to go faster, you'll probably feel some tension in your arm and stuff, or maybe in your hand. That's sort of normal. You're going to get tenseness when you're trying to push your speed limits on any technique. It will loosen with time. Just make sure you're not over-tensing to where you're hurting yourself. Second technique, tremolos. Pretty simple, pretty basic, but most people mess up because they don't count their tremolo picking. So I would say, first off, if you're able to downpick at a decent moderate speed, try to do alternate picking at a decently moderate speed, where you're able to just simply build it up and up and up. How I would think about this, I think Ben Higgins taught people this, I think, in a YouTube short, where he said that the best way to focus on single string fast picking to get your picking speed and find out what parts of your body you use to pick fast, think about picking on the string. Again, no strokes going through one string, touching the next one. You're picking on the string. You're doing just enough movement to get you from one side of the string to the other and back. And again, this is where your picking angle, like your twist, to use this as a ramp, and your turn, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, is going to come in a lot of handy. Because if I'm trying to pick, like most people would think you pick, where your pick is directly parallel to the strings and there's no twist at all, and I try to tremolo pick, I can do it, but I need to really push it. Like, that's like a beginner black metal style. It has its own tone to it, and I sort of have to tilt my hand this way to accommodate for going straight out and straight in with my wrist motion. If I try to do it this way, it's getting caught a couple of times. It's not exactly fluid or clean, compared to if I throw in just a little bit of twist by bringing up my thumb a little bit and now using the edge as a ramp to glide over. That's way more comfortable to me. Again, could be different for you, but as a general rule of thumb, you want to have at least some sort of angle of some sort for your exiting motion for one string, and you need to have some sort of twist, either forward or backward, depending on what kind of player you are, if you're Ola England or not, or whoever else does that. That's where you're going to find success with those single tremolos. Now, riffs don't just exist on one string, for the most part. People know that. There's tons of riffs that incorporate a bunch of different little notes across strings. So you're going to need to get good at left-hand strength. And maybe if your right hand isn't good enough, you should have your left hand able to help you and pull you out of these ruts. So these are for building, I guess, the techniques in the right hand and the right hand strength. Your left hand, when it needs to follow, I would suggest basic exercises and incorporating other aspects of learning. Like when I started off, and I wanted to get my left hand really good, but I didn't just want to sit there for too long doing a basic exercise like I've shown before with trills, where you just do pull-offs and hammer-ons a bunch on the string. So like a... That'll definitely get you worked up, but it doesn't sound very musical, and a lot of people won't stick with that if they have ADHD brain or some other condition where they can't focus. So you might want to make it musical by learning, I guess, your scale on one string or whatever. So I would probably do E minor. And then you could do maybe your tremolo picking and try to count out how long you're going to stay on each of these notes. That's how I could do it, or maybe downpicking. Now, if you're doing it with just your pointer finger, people might say, oh, that's not good because you're not using your other fingers. I think when you're starting off, it's very important because most of the songs you're going to want to learn are basic, where you're just moving shapes from one place to another. And what's moving? Your whole hand, your pointer finger along with it. Your pointer finger is probably going to be your anchor point when you're thinking about what chords you're trying to play, because it's power chords, and you envision power chords from the perspective of the pointer finger, the lowest finger. So I think doing an exercise like this, and then maybe incorporating some sort of pattern to it, where instead of going straight up and straight down, you maybe do like a hopscotch thing. So I could do like a... something like that. Or any riffs that already do stuff similar to that will be helpful to you. Even if you can't do them right now, it is going to help you, like trying to play Master of Puppets by Gallop. Just trying to do that and repeating it in patterns and parts is going to help your right hand and your left hand sync. That's a general decent portion of basic advice before you get into more and more complicated songs. I think lastly, I'm going to try to point you in the general direction of gallops. So there are two sorts of gallops. There's the Maiden gallops and the Slayer gallops. At least that's how I break them apart. So any Iron Maiden song, you're going to think of a gallop kind of feeling like this. So like a Maiden style. Something like that, right? An upbeat kind of da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So that type of gallop is characterized by a downstroke, and then you start the galloping motion. Dan, dicka-din, 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 right? That's the feel. It's like a kind of like a horse gallop. It's like a very triumphant style. Now a Slayer gallop, like something like Rain and Blood, has no dun before the dicka-din, dicka-din, dicka-din. It's just dicka-din, diddlin, 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 diddlin. So it has a totally different feel. So the Slayer gallop goes sort of something like... I don't know the little motif that happens in Raining Blood, the... I don't know it. But it's totally different. Again, Maiden gallop. Versus Slayer gallop. Right? So... versus like Slayer. It happens on the downbeat. That's when the gallop happens. So the gallop starting on the downbeat with no downstroke offset is the Slayer gallop. Very common in metal, but sometimes you do get the down and then gallop sort of thing happening, like in what is it? I think, what is it? Was it Battery? Yeah. I haven't played that riff in forever, but that was the one that taught me how to gallop. The two songs I used to learn how to gallop, first I actually started with Devil's Island, because it's just that simple Maiden style. Right? And then I moved on to Disposable Heroes and Battery, because those taught me to take those gallops and throw in little motifs between them and easily get right back into galloping. So galloping as a motion is sort of like just like its own little unique spasm. So it's down, up, down, and then a reset. You use the same reset principle from your straight downstrokes, a reset into another gallop motion. It's sort of its own little spastic movement that you need to get control over. So you can incorporate and swap between all the different types of picking. Those are all the different types. I did tremolo alternate, you know, I did downstrokes, did Slayer gallops, did the Maiden gallops. So those are the basic, like the 4 pillars of all thrash rhythm. And then what you choose to do and where you choose to move with those rhythm techniques, that's what's going to put you above and beyond and take you into all the other different subcategories of metal. So pick some somewhat basic, easy songs. A lot of the early Metallica stuff, maybe even some of the early just heavy metal stuff, like some of the Judas Priest, some of the Maiden, some of the Motorhead, some of the Venom, obviously Sabbath, any of these guys, Dio, any of the stuff that's before thrash metal, so you have a basic grip of your instrument. I had to learn Breaking the Law once all the way through just to prove that I could push myself to learn a song even though I sucked ass, and look at me now. My instructor did tell me, if you come in here next week and you haven't learned Breaking the Law, I don't think it's going to be well for you. I want you to try to learn it all the way front to back. And when I first heard that, I thought, man, why? Why does he want me to learn Breaking the Law? I don't even really love Breaking the Law. It's a good song, but I like Metallica. But I learned it front to back. It was hard. It was sloppy. But he saw that I really tried to do it front to back, and he was like, all right, you're my student now. I'm gonna take you, and you're gonna do great things. I'm like, hell yeah. So that's what you have to do. Prove to yourself that you can push through adversity and climb the mountaintops. Be quiet. Drama queen. I'm going to end this fast before she comes over here and tries to get me. Listen to metal, play metal, be metal, practice hard. I believe in you. Lulu believes in you. My cat believes in you. And I'll see you in the next one. So take a pick. Best of luck to you. Peace.